The following episode of Toon Talk features bad language and subject matters such as mental abuse towards minors and pedophilia. If any of this stuff make you uncomfortable in any way, then please do yourself a favor by skipping this video. But if you can handle this type of stuff, then strap in, because we're in for a long one. Hello, my beautiful people! So I don't have... Well, I do have a Ren Stimpy shirt, but I couldn't find it? For some reason, I don't know. So I decided to throw on this famous Nicktoons shirt that just has Ren Stimpy on it, so it counts. But hey, I think the lack of a proper Ren and Stimpy shirt, I think that this setup over here makes up for the lack of a proper Ren and Stimpy t-shirt that I'm wearing. But anyway, let's talk about a documentary that I just saw called Happy Happy Joy Joy, the Ren and Stimpy story. Now, Ren Stimpy has a very interesting history. Even me knowing the history going in, I was a little surprised about mainly like the behind the scenes aspect from before the show. So, in case you didn't know, Ren and Stimpy was created by a man named John Kricfalusi, also known as John K. Season 1, the DVD set of the first two seasons, you can see his name all over the damn place. Well, mainly just on the front cover, but there's his signature, John K. It even has John K. presents the Ren Stimpy Show, uncut. Not rated. Ooh. Oh, it says PG right on the back of the box, though. But anyway, John K. did not like the 70s and 80s style of animation because he felt like he could do a lot more with that. And he also didn't like where animation was at the time because pretty much everything was a toy commercial. There weren't any creator-driven shows. And when he would pitch shows to various networks, like Fox, CBS, ABC, stuff like that, he would do it in a wild and crazy way. Like to the point where you didn't really need the storyboards or something like that. He could just he would reenact them frame by frame with props and everything, and he would do the voices. And nobody pitched like that. It was insane. But probably too insane for the networks. But then he got a call from Nickelodeon to pitch a show. Pitched a show he was developing called Your Town. Nickelodeon wasn't really a fan of the show. But they did like two characters. They were pet dog and cat of one of the characters. And the dog and cat were named Ren and Stimpy, respectively. And thus, Nickelodeon was like, hey, make a show out of those two. And that's how Ren and Stimpy was born. That motorcycle agrees, that's pretty cool. And so, before Ren and Stimpy was greenlit, John K. formed his own company with some of his little animation buddies known as Spumco, which his tagline was the Danes call it quality. And one of the bigger players in Spunko, aside from John K himself, was Bob Camp, who, if you didn't call it John, then you called it Bob. John and Bob. Bon. So, it's very cold in here and I'm wearing this much clothing. Plus socks with holes. They're not even Ren Stimpy socks, they're Rugrats. So Ren and Stimpy airs on August 11th alongside Doug and Rugrats. And nearly it's a smash hit. Everyone loves Ren and Stimpy. It's one of the biggest shows ever at the time. And becomes so influential, inspiring several different cartoons like Rocko's Modern Life, Beavis and Butthead, SpongeBob, South Park, Family Guy, Fairly Odd Parents, Rick and Morty. There's so many shows to come. And at the center of it are, and the amazing thing about Ren Stimpy is that it did something that the toy cartoons didn't really do, and cartoons didn't really do since the 70s with Hanna-Barbera, and that was have the created by tagline, because when you really think about it, who created Transformers? Who created the G.I. Joe? Well, so John K wanted the created by John K thing at the end of the intro to pretty much be like, hey, I'm the one who came up with this, not some company, toy company. Although, really, as the Nickelodeon exec points out in the documentary, it was really Nickelodeon who made Ren and Stimpy possible, because John K didn't really create Ren and Stimpy. He created a show called Your Town, or whatever it was called, and Ren and Stimpy were just these cat and dog characters that were owned by one of the kids in that show. Nickelodeon just liked the two characters so much that they stood out to the people at Nick, and they were just like, hey, make the show about these two. Although, since before 2018, the most infamous thing about John K was how difficult he was to work with. And before all the things about Robin Bird and Hannah Rice came out, or was it Katie Rice? Yeah, Katie Rice. Before all that stuff came out, it was mainly the fact that he was difficult to work with. He wanted his work to be absolutely perfect, the best thing that it could possibly be. On the contrary to Bob Camp, he just like, make it funny. Just make some funny drawings. Make a funny cartoon. Something like that. Well, John K, on the other hand, wanted his show to be absolutely perfect. And in the result of that, episodes kept on getting delayed months in advance because of John K and his perfectionism. And Nickelodeon was super pissed about this. They were like, hey, we need new episodes. You're slow as hell. Please, we just need episodes. And John K himself was actually a bit of a cartoon character himself, according to his peers. Like an example that's given, when he's at a restaurant and he orders a salad, he's like, what the hell are croutons? And he throws them across the way. He throws them across the room. Poorly behaved, but funny. He's just a huge man-child and a cartoon character in himself. And the most funny and ironic thing about this documentary is that his peers initially thought that John K was going to become the next Walt Disney. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Walt Disney. I mean, Mickey Mouse wasn't the one thing that Walt Disney was known for. So, but anyway. Oh, the last straw with John Kay at Nickelodeon was when the episode of Ren Stimpy came out around sometime in season 2. It was the episode Man's Best Friend, which featured so much violence to the point where Nickelodeon was like, this is for kids. It looks great, but this is not for kids. Get the hell out of here. You're fired. So that was the last straw from Nickelodeon. And they also fired his company Spumco. And pretty much the crew behind Ren Stimpy had one of two options. Continue working on Ren Stimpy with the new showrunner being Bob Camp, or still be with John at Spumco. Most, if not all of them, did neither. So Ren and Stimpy was now in the hands of Games Animation, and most of the crew members of Ren and Stimpy were like, I don't want to work at Games. And Bob Kent was being like, I have to work at Games or else the show will die. The show did eventually die come the 5th season, but hey, at least we got 3 more seasons out of it. But as for John Kay, although he did get to keep the rights to one of the Ren and Stimpy characters, that being the character George Liquor. Mainly the fact that, well, George Liquor was based off of his dad, and, you know, and Nickelodeon didn't really like the character at all. He was, in basically their own words, he's an asshole. He's really abusive. And John didn't really see it like that way. It was like, that's his dad. And afterward, with not a lot of people around John Kay to say, this is stupid, this goes too far, oh boy, it definitely shows in the cartoons after Ren and Stimpy. Like, the documentary shows clips of, like, these little boys pissing on a dog and you see their dicks. Like they show their dicks. The cartoon shows the why. And of course there's the Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon. And many will say that the reason adult party cartoon failed so fast was because many of the people who helped Ren and Stimpy become what it was, who made these characters what they weren't a part of the show. With just John Kay getting creative freedom to do whatever the frick he wanted. And yeah, it's great for an artist to do what he wants, but sometimes you need to be told, no, this is terrible, this is a stupid idea, don't do this. And from what I've heard, I have not seen adult party cartoon for myself, but that is one of the big reasons on why the show failed so quickly. Like, it had lasted 6 episodes and it got canceled immediately. And it was hyped up too, like Ren and Stimpy are coming back, but they're naughty and gross and disgusting and totally extreme Ren and Stimpy. There's tits, there's blood, there's piss, everything. I was just looking at, even me, just looking at these clips and like the animation. First of all, the animation looks like complete garbage. yeah, it definitely got the animation quality definitely went down a bit. Also, the fact of what they're doing, it just feels wrong watching a John K. cartoon after the Ren and Stimpy show. Even if I hear just clips of it, I just feel dirty watching it. It feels completely uncomfortable. Speaking of being dirty and uncomfortable, let's now talk about the whole Robin Bird. God damn it, Powder Coast Band just fell down. And speaking of being dirty and uncomfortable, it's time we talk about the pedophilic part of the video. Back in the late 90s, John received a letter from a girl named Robin Bird. She grew up watching Ren and Stimpy, and she wanted to get into making cartoons herself. She was drawing a lot, and John was amazed on how, for her age, she could write this well and draw this well, and he thought it was cute. And he also received a video of her talking to him directly, and that was like, I think I like this girl. That's how John reacted. So she flew out to LA and she started to intern at Spumco, and their relationship grew into a romantic relationship. And when Robin turned 16, she moved in with John, probably to the disapproval, and he ultimately ended up treating her like complete garbage, utter and complete. Pardon my French, but this is technically an R-rated documentary, but complete shit. To the point where, come the early 2000s, she dumped him, and a few days later, he immediately moved on to Katie Rice, who I believe that's what her name was, and he kept on doing the same stuff till they broke up. And then in 2018, a BuzzFeed article came out where Robin and Katie spoke out about what John did to them. And it was the article that made people question their love of Ren and Stimpy. They questioned, I loved this show when I was a child. Should I still enjoy it since the creator is a monster? Oh, you can love a show despite the person who made it. And this was something that Robin said, and even John K himself said this, that you can hate me all you want, but I'm not the sole person behind Ren Stimpy. There were several other creative artists and storyboard artists and animators and all that type of stuff who helped make the show the success that it is today. Speaking of John's reaction, he couldn't finish the whole article. And he also, it was the article that made him realize, holy crap, I treated these girls terribly. And especially made him realize that he treated Robin terribly. And he realized that they were way too young for me, and that this was, and that he treated them terribly. So, and he wanted to apologize to them, Robin especially. I don't think he mentioned anything about wanting to apologize to Katie, though he might have already did that. But yeah, he wanted to do his complete remorse, show remorse to Robin in particular. Although, on how sudden the transition is to how dark the ending, the third act of the documentary is, it ends with a shot of John K. drawing Stimpy, pointing at Ren, the character that John identifies with the most, with Stimpy saying, "You're a monster." So that's pretty much the story of Ren Stimpy. Well, my simplified version of it, but overall, that's happy joy the Ren Stimpy story. But now that we talked about like the story, let's talk about like the actual presentation of the documentary. Although apparently the filmmakers of the documentary themselves, they're not actually Ren Stimpy fans, which, okay, it's a bit weird that you decide to make a documentary on a show that you're not even a fan of, but, you know, maybe they just found the story of Ren Stimpy so interesting that they realized it had to be a documentary. I mean, I'm not that much of a Ren Stimpy fan myself, I must say, so, Anywho, in terms of John K's response to the BuzzFeed article, to be honest, I don't know if he legitimately feels sorry and bad of what he's done, or if he's lying. Although, the optimistic side of me, and the cartoon-loving side of me, and the Ren Stimpy fan inside of me feels like that he is remorseful. He does feel sorry. Although, there is a high chance that he doesn't and just lying to the camera. But I don't know. Although, it doesn't excuse the fact that he fucked a 14-year-old girl when he was in his 40s. I mean, can we just agree that whether you feel sorry about it or not, that is just horrible. Like, don't have sex with 14-year-old girls unless you're of legal age. In fact, towards the beginning of the documentary, when they mentioned that John K. dated a woman of legal age for years, it was just like, okay, everyone, call the alarms. Cats and dogs are living together. John K. was dating a woman of legal age. So, who would I recommend this documentary to? Well, I would definitely recommend this documentary to Ren Stimpy fans. If you grew up with Ren and Stimpy or you got into the show recently, I'd say check it out. See how the show impacted a lot of people, and the insane behind the scenes drama, and the aftermath of the show, and how its creator went down a pretty dark and screwed up past. And I feel like I would also recommend this to cartoon fans and people who just find this story interesting, because I did, and I really enjoyed what I saw, and I would like there to be, since we're talking about corrupted cartoon creators and Nickelodeon, I would really love someone to make a full full-fledged documentary on Butch Hartman, because in the last couple of years, just like John K. Well, not just like John K. I mean, Butch Hartman didn't whip his dick out at any 14-year-old girls and took pictures of them and showed them to his employees. Yeah, they didn't mention that part in the documentary, but John did that weird crap. He did that. They didn't bring up in the documentary, but he did that crap. But yeah, the weird between the whole O-Axis thing and the Christianity crap and not refusing to listen to any type of criticism unless it's from an animator. I would love someone to make a Butch Hartman documentary or like a Fairly Odd Parents documentary or something like that. Yeah, I'd love that to be a reality because that seems like it'd be an interesting story to make. But anyway, guys, that was all for this video. Let me know down in the comments below on what you thought of the documentary, and are you a Ren Stimpy fan? And how do you feel about the reboot that's coming to Comedy Central? That is fine. And anyway, guys, that'll be it for this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell, and I will see you later. Bye!